Hi guys, welcome to J Talks Biz, where we talk about all things business related and especially recruitment in the healthcare sector. So I'm getting asked a lot of questions about what are the common mistakes people make when it comes to opening up a recruitment business, and a recruitment business especially in the healthcare sector. So I want to talk to you about some of the things which you can do to prepare yourself to avoid some of the pitfalls which you may face, because it's always best to be prepared before you go into something, especially where it involves money and the potential of losing money. With any business, I always suggest to people you should have some sort of an idea in your mind first of all, but there's nothing better than getting a pen and paper and putting all of those thoughts onto the piece of paper. This is a common mistake which a lot of people make. They think they know everything and therefore they don't need to put anything in writing. A business plan is an absolute critical component of anything when it comes to opening up a business. If you don't have a plan, if you don't put it in writing, what it does is essentially you'll be wasting a lot of time and a lot of money on fixing things which you could have done in one go had you written everything down. So don't be lazy. This is something which is absolutely critical. Put your thoughts on a piece of paper and follow this. Now, a business plan is a working document, so you don't just you can't just write something down and laminate that piece of paper and think that's it, you've done your bit. It doesn't work in that way. You have to be able to adjust and amend as you go along, because this is something which is quite important that you do. There will be changes that you have to make, so you have to do that. In order to write a business plan, you can go to someone who will be able to do that. But these days, I say, don't bother. You have enough resources at your disposal. Go on Google. That will teach you how to write a business plan. You have other AI services out there which you can also utilize, which will give you a basic sort of business plan, which you can then utilize according to your needs. So this is my first and most important bit of advice when it comes to starting off a business. Think about the business plan. Think about all of those things which you want to achieve out of that business, including how much money you expect to achieve within the first month, 6 months, or even year and beyond. I promise you, this is something you will thank me for. Put a business plan in place and take action accordingly. Another thing which people fail on a lot of the times is basically not having enough money set aside for marketing. Marketing is such an important component of any business. I cannot stress how important it is. A lot of people don't think of marketing as never mind important, they just don't think it's necessary at all. They think I'm just going to start off and people are just going to come to me and I'll have a flourishing business. It doesn't work in that way. It really doesn't work in that way. We all have to put some money towards marketing to be able to get ourselves out there. Put it this way, I can have the best idea, the best product, the best business service, whatever, but if nobody knows about it, you have nothing, because no one's going to buy from you, no one's going to come to you. So what's the point of that? So you need to have a certain amount of money set aside, so which you can utilize for advertising, etc. And marketing these days, it comes in many different forms, and you just have to think what's best for you in the industry which you're in. If we're talking about recruitment, then look, you're looking for what type of people are you looking for? Let's go specific into the healthcare recruitment business, as we have been talking about. And with the healthcare recruitment business, you have to think about the type of people you're trying to attract here. So you've got doctors and nurses, who are the very basic type of healthcare people that you can that will pop into your mind when you think about healthcare. But getting hold of them, it's going to be very difficult. You have to use a certain tactic and strategy to be able to recruit them. For instance, doctors, it may be word of mouth. So you have one doctor, and they will then be able to bring other doctors, their colleagues, on board with you. You may utilize LinkedIn, which is a professional platform, and that may be very, very helpful for you. So you can use that. Same thing for nurses. You might be able to use LinkedIn and word of mouth. They're always the most important and best ways of recruiting people. Think beyond that. You've got other social media platforms such as Facebook, which may be good for attracting certain types of people. Then you will have TikTok, which will have a different set of audience. Think along those lines and think about what type of people you want, and then you will think about what method to use to be able to get those people to come on board with you. Marketing. How important is marketing? You know how important it is. You're not going to be able to attract anyone to work for you if you don't have the right marketing out there, because people need to know what you or the company is about in order for them to come to work for you. Put everything aside, just to again stress to you the importance of marketing. We've all heard of Coca-Cola, we've all heard of McDonald's. Why do you think they still advertise? Why do you think they advertise? They're two of the biggest organizations on the globe, and yet you go stand next to any bus stop. You can't watch any TV adverts without seeing an advert from Coca-Cola or from McDonald's. Why do they do it? They understand the importance of marketing. That's the reason why they do it. So when you're starting off, don't ever kid yourself and think that you don't need marketing. Always have a certain amount of budget set aside so you can utilize on marketing and so on. Now, failure to specialize. You can specialize in any field, and I've always been told that if you focus on a niche, you have more of an opportunity of being successful rather than if you try and do everything. It's arguable if you want to specialize in something. As I say, I've specialized in healthcare recruitment. I know some other people who have been very successful recruiting just generically, miscellaneous type of positions. They can do temporary and they do permanent, and they do it in any industry, any sector. It works for them. But again, you have to think about the resources which are at your disposal. Now, when you're starting off, resources are always scarce. I've had to think about what can I do? Because I had to start by myself. There was nobody else. So you may be in the same position where you're working by yourself. And if you're working by yourself, you are most likely to succeed, or you'd have a better chance if you actually specialize in one area, one niche. Because if you try and do too much, you're going to be stretching yourself and you're not going to be successful in anything. So I chose the healthcare sector and it worked out very well for me. But you may choose to go into healthcare, IT, technology, and other areas as well, and you may be successful. Lack of funding. So the amount of money which you have. I've already stressed to you about the importance of having budget. Now, the business plan, going back to the first point which I made about the business plan, if you've got the right business plan, the business plan in itself will actually tell you, because you would have worked out how much money you actually need from day one. What is your monthly spend? Okay, because with any businesses, you need to be able, you're not going to get money from day one. It's just not going to happen. If you're lucky, you may be receiving money from month 6 or maybe after a year, if you're lucky. But most businesses are not fortunate enough to be able to generate enough income for you to take any money away, never mind the business running on its own. So you'll be pumping money or injecting money into the business yourself. So you need to have investors, or you need to have a very deep pocket. So look, the important thing here is you need to have a certain amount of money. Calculate things backwards. Think about, so let's just say you work backwards from 12 months. So you think, okay, every month I'm going to be spending this much money, and therefore I need to have X amount of money. Assume you're not going to earn any money at all. So how much money do you need in order to keep your business running and your home running? Because you need to pay yourself something. You have to understand, most of us, we don't live in a cave. We live in a house, whether it's rented or mortgaged or whatever. You have to pay all your bills. And if you've left your job to concentrate full time on a business, then you need to have enough resources at your disposal for it to continue. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck. And then that's where the failure will happen. So think about how much money you need. Think about how long that money will stretch for. Think about personal life as well as business, because in most cases, people don't think in both cases. You have to live. You have to eat in order to live. So therefore, all of those day-to-day stuff that we do, don't ignore that. Take that into consideration. Really think about how much money you actually need to open up a business. If you don't know, this is the kind of thing which I would say that you either consult with someone like myself or someone else who's actually done the business, because there's always this thing about theory. You can theorize about what something may cost, but reality is always very different. And this is what I've been advising people in recent times, which is you can read a book. And I always say read a book, it gives you a lot of knowledge. But theory, which you get from books, and actually doing things practically is a completely different world altogether. So you really need to be able to talk to somebody who's done it, who knows what they're doing, and nothing replaces experience. So if you really need to talk to somebody and you want to get further advice on this, talk to me. Send me an email and I will try my very best to try and come back to you, or give me a call and we'll run through all of those bits, because it's really not that tough. It's just that you need to be able to understand some of these very basic components in order to stand a chance of being successful. Because if you really think about this, and you know this, there's statistics out there, most businesses fail within the first 2 years. Why? Because they haven't got all of some of these things which I've mentioned right. So if you want to stand a chance of success, follow some of these basic steps which I've just mentioned to you. Get someone involved who is going to either coach you or at least will be able to give you some advice on a regular basis, if nothing else, just to keep you motivated, because it can be very demoralizing when you're starting a business, especially when you've gone on, you put your heart and soul into something, you put a hell of a lot of money and energy into it. 6 months down the line, you're not making any traction at all. What happens? You get demoralized. You think it's not worth it. Business is not for me. Don't get to that point. Get some help, get some advice, get some thoughts from other people, even if you have to pay for it. This is a mistake, another big mistake people who are coming into business make, because they don't have enough money. They don't want to pay any money to anyone else. The best thing that I have ever done is basically pay other people for the expertise that they bring. I know what I'm good at. I'm good at a certain thing. I'm not good at every single thing. And if I think I'm good at every single thing, then I'm a fool. Because I'm not, nor are you. So therefore, don't try and be an expert at everything. Bring in the experts where you possibly can. I know this is tough. You're starting out, you have no money, you've got enough money barely just to keep the business going. How the hell are you going to afford to pay someone else a salary? Now, maybe you don't have to pay someone a salary. Maybe you can pay them a consultancy fee for a couple of hours here and there. That's the way it works. Or you can follow the course which I'm setting up. And I'm really not setting this course here, but I'm just letting you know that there's other ways and easier ways. If I could go back 10 years, I was very fortunate because of my business partner, who was very experienced in the industry, and he helped me a hell of a lot. He was my mentor, he still is. He's a supporter even to this day, which is why I was successful. You need that too. And if you don't have anyone pushing you on the right track, then you will also fail, and you're going to be so demoralized, and you will never want to start another business again. And just because you failed on one thing, it doesn't mean you're not going to be successful in another thing. So please carry on and see where you go with that. Have a business plan. Okay, make sure you have the right people around you. Make sure you have enough budget for marketing purposes, and just persevere. Just persevere. Okay, have enough funding at your side, or at the very least have someone who has money and experience who is supporting you. Don't be afraid to get a coach. Don't be afraid to talk to people who will motivate you. Don't talk to the wrong people, because some people will always have this negative attitude and will always tell you to be where you are. Unless you make the change, you will always remain where you are. Remember that. So if you want to be successful, the first step at the very least is to think of an idea, put the business plan together, have some money set aside, and also have the right people around you who are going to be able to support you with ideas and experience. And when you're down, believe me, you will be down at some point. You need that person to pick you up and say, don't worry, everything will be all right. It sounds really like a comedy line, but in reality, that's a very, very important thing. You have no idea the power of human beings and the power of a coach who is motivating you. It's very, very important. So good luck.